You close your eyes and their face appears like a soft lantern in a dark room. The day was ordinary, but the moment grows charged, almost luminous, as if the air itself is trying to tell you something. You did not invite the memory, yet it arrives with a quiet insistence and sits in the front row of your awareness. You try to think about errands and deadlines, but the image won't leave. It is not noise, it is a knock. Maybe it happens before sleep, when the house finally falls silent and the hum inside your chest grows louder. Maybe it hits while driving, or in the awkward pause before a meeting, or while stirring a pot on the stove. You are not texting them, not calling them, not chasing an answer. Still, they come. The thought loops. The feeling deepens. The question rises, why this person and why now? You wonder if it is only nostalgia, a restless ego, or a trick of habit. Then you notice the pattern. The thought returns at meaningful hours. It arrives after moments of honesty or fatigue. It tends to surface when you are still enough to hear what you usually outrun. There is a reason the mind opens the same door. There is a reason the soul keeps pointing. Here is the promise of this time together. By the end, you will understand the spiritual meaning of why a single person can occupy your inner sky, what it asks of you, and how to act with clarity instead of compulsion. You will learn how these persistent thoughts can be invitations rather than traps, signals rather than distractions, and how to translate them into growth, closure, or courageous connection. If that promise speaks to you, support this channel with a like and subscribe, and tell me in one word what rises as you think of them then. Stay to the end for a short practice you can do today to test the message. Across traditions, meaningful contact often begins in the quiet. In the still hour, the veil thins, the body slows, the mind softens, and what is unresolved begins to knock. The person you cannot stop thinking about may be a mirror, a messenger, or a milestone. The mirror shows you an aspect of yourself. The messenger brings a lesson. The milestone marks a turning point you are ready to cross. You are not broken for feeling this much. You are not weak for remembering. Sensitivity is not a flaw. It is an instrument. Properly tuned, it plays truth instead of noise. Properly held, it becomes guidance instead of guilt. Fear can make you chase or numb out, but calling asks you to listen. Think of Anna, who sat in a cafe on a cool autumn afternoon, watching leaves fall like slow rain. She had resources and friends, but a hollow she could not name. For weeks, an old college friend kept appearing in her thoughts. She tried to ignore it by busying her hands, but the image would not fade. It was not a random echo. It was a gentle summons. When she finally sat with it, she sensed an unfinished chapter and a chance to become more honest with herself. That is how these things often work. People who occupy our attention are rarely accidents. Every person who crosses our story carries a purpose, sometimes to teach, sometimes to heal, sometimes to end a cycle well. When a person takes up repeated space in your mind, ask the tender question, what is being asked of me here? Growth or goodbye? Learning or loving? Acceptance or action? Our thoughts are energy with direction. Where attention goes, reality often organizes. Many call it the law of attraction. Name it what you will. The effect is the same. Focused thought intensifies experience. When someone is constantly on your mind, the energy of your attention can pull details into view patterns, memories, invitations on the surface or beneath it. Attention is a magnet. Intention is a compass. But persistent thinking is not a command to pursue them at all costs. Not every signal is an instruction to chase. Sometimes they appear as a mirror so you can finally see the part of you that wants to be met. Sometimes they surface as a milestone so you can close a chapter with grace. Sometimes, yes, they come as a messenger so you can step toward a conversation you are strong enough to have now. To discern which it is, slow down. Sit with 3 deceptively simple questions. Does this thought bring peace or agitation? What is the lesson this person reflects in me? If I acted today, would I be seeking evolution or would I be seeking validation? The ego hunts for control. The soul leans into growth. The ego chases answers. The soul receives alignment. Awareness begins with noticing and naming. When their image arises, pause and breathe down into your belly for the length of 4 calm counts. On TXLA, quietly say, "Here it is." Do not push the thought away, and do not grasp it. Receive it like a letter you will open with care. The thought is the envelope. Your attention is the letter opener. After the pause, map the pattern. When does the thought tend to arrive? What are you doing just before? What emotion sits underneath longing, fear, unfinished grief, budding courage? Describe it in plain words. Simple words are sharp tools. Write 3 lines in a journal. Full sentences only, as if explaining it to a wise friend. Put the date at the top. So you can track movement over time. Then, listen for resonance in the body. Where does the feeling land? Throat, chest, stomach? If the throat tightens, maybe truth wants to be voiced. If the chest warms, perhaps affection seeks expression. If the stomach knots, maybe a boundary asks to be drawn. Let the body speak in its small, honest language. The body rarely lies when the room goes quiet. If you sense the person is a mirror, ask what of them you admire or resist. Qualities we admire often point to dormant seeds within us. The courage you see might be courage you are ready to practice. The tenderness you miss might be tenderness you are ready to give yourself. When you keep thinking of a trait in another, you are being asked to grow that trait within. If you sense a milestone, imagine closing a door well. Closure is not erasing the ink. It is finishing the sentence. Write a letter you may never send, thanking the season for what it gave and releasing what no longer serves. Speak the words out loud in a steady voice. Ritual adds weight. Then place the paper somewhere safe or let it go. You will feel the air change when the sentence ends. If you sense a messenger, discern the next faithful step. That step is small, respectful, and honest. Compose a message that names your intention without demand. Focus on clarity, not outcome. A courageous truth sets both hearts free, even if the conversation is brief. Act from calm, not compulsion. Action from calm plants seeds that grow. Every tradition has language for soul of Elban's kindred souls, companions of the path, the friend of one's heart. You do not need grand labels to honor real connection. Honor what is here. Honor what is true now. Some connections return to move us forward. Others return to bless us goodbye. Both are sacred. Both count as growth. Purification prepares alignment. The mind will swirl until the heart sets the rhythm. Try a short prayer, in your own words, before sleep. If this thought is guidance, let it be clear. If it is attachment, let it soften. If there is action, show me one step. If there is release, give me peace. Simple words, spoken sincerely, turn down the static and tune the signal. Practice gratitude for the lessons already revealed. Gratitude is a gate that swings open toward wisdom. Name 3 ways this recurring thought has already taught you maybe patience, self-honesty, or the courage to be tender again. Naming the gifts breaks the spell of fixation and returns you to agency. Offer forgiveness where it belongs. If the memory carries blame, forgive to free the energy, not to excuse history, but to reclaim your present. Speak forgiveness for them if you can, for yourself if you must. Forgiveness is not a loophole, it is a release valve. It stops the cycle from spinning you under. Return to breath when the mind accelerates. For slow inhales, for longer exhales. Repeat until your shoulders drop 1 notch. The breath is the oldest friend of clarity. The breath escorts you from panic to presence, from noise to signal. Quiet does not mean emptiness. Quiet means you can finally hear. Many find meaning in cycles and timing. Dawn feels like permission because many traditions view the morning as a symbol of renewal. Some researchers suggest that reflection is easier when the nervous system is less stimulated. which is why late night and early morning thoughts feel deeper. You do not need a study to trust what your body already knows. When you are rested, you receive. When you are frantic, you miss. Likewise, there are seasons for planting and seasons for pruning. Many traditions nod to liminal hours and sacred thresholds. You might not use the language of astrology or science at all, and that is fine. What matters is noticing how your inner tides move when insight rises, when courage is available, when action feels clean. Flow with the season rather than fighting it. Put the pieces together. When you honor the signal without worshiping it, you remain free. When you ground the emotion in practice, you remain steady. When you act from truth instead of fear, you remain kind. That is the path. Not obsession or avoidance, but clear, compassionate engagement with what keeps returning. When you notice, you begin to understand. When you understand, you begin to choose. When you choose, you begin to create. When you create, you begin to become. The same thought that once trapped you can become a doorway. The same face that once haunted you can become a teacher. This is how light replaces the fog. If the person is a mirror, you grow. If the person is a milestone, you close. If the person is a messenger, you speak. Either way, you are not at the mercy of the loop. You are the one who can bless it forward. You are the one who can release it with grace. Notice how often the theme is the same. From noise to quiet, from drift to intent, from fear to courage. This is the gentle binary of transformation. You are learning to set the metronome of your attention. You are learning to hear the soft yes beneath the loud maybe. You are learning to trust the path that opens one clean step at a time. So here is a practical, portable way to test the message today. Set a 1-minute timer. Close your eyes and breathe at an easy pace. Picture the person for 2 breaths. On the 3rd breath, ask, mirror, milestone, or messenger. Whatever reses first word, image, sensation, receive it without debate. On the next breaths, ask, what is one honest step? If it is mirror, pick one quality to practice this week. If it is milestone, speak one sentence of release out loud. If it is messenger, draft one gentle line you could send without pressure. Keep practicing. When you practice noticing, your life grows spacious. When you practice gratitude, your life grows bright. When you practice forgiveness, your life grows light. When you practice courage, your life grows true. The universe is not playing riddles. It is whispering through patterns you are now learning to hear. Remember Anna in the cafe? She did not rush to act. She listened until the lesson ripened. When she finally reached out, it was not to demand an outcome, but to say something honest she could stand by no matter the response. That is freedom. That is alignment. That is the difference between compulsion and calling. You may never know with certainty why this person arrived in your mind across these days. Certainty is not the goal. Clarity is. You can carry peace without perfect answers. You can carry wisdom without dramatizing destiny. You can bless the encounter whether it becomes connection or closure. And if you do act like someone you will admire tomorrow. Speak clearly. Listen gently. Leave room for the unexpected grace that often enters when you stop trying to force the door. Push less, invite more. Control contracts, trust opens. Stay close to practices that keep you honest. Short silence, truthful pages, steady breath. Simply prayer. Feed your attention with what makes you more loving, more grounded, more awake. Starve what makes you reactive and small. You already know the difference, by the way. Your body responds in the quiet. The mind wants a script. The soul wants a story that grows. The mind wants guarantees. The soul wants a step. The mind argues in circles. The soul moves in spirals. You are learning the spiral. You are learning how to rise. What began as an intrusive loop can become a compass. What felt like a burden can become a blessing. The thought does not own you. The thought invites you. The person is not your fate. The person is part of your formation. Here is the promise again in a fresh way. When you honor the signal, you reclaim your agency. When you refine your attention, you reclaim your energy. When you take one honest step, you reclaim your future. The same pattern that once kept you spinning can now help you stand. Before we close, try this micro practice. For 30 seconds, soften your jaw and place a hand on your chest. Breathe slowly and say, "Thank you for the message. I am listening." Then ask, "What is the kindest action now?" Let a single word rise, rest, release, reach. Act on that word in the smallest possible way before the day ends. Small, faithful steps change large, quiet lives. If this helped, I am grateful you were here. Tell me in the comments whether your thought feels like a mirror, a milestone, or a messenger, and what one gentle step you will take tonight. Subscribe and share this with someone who needs clarity. And when you are ready, cue up the next video on turning intrusive loops into inner guidance, so you can go deeper with these practices together.